We're not up. Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to the Q Lounge Live. Hi, I am your host, Shady Groove. This is the In the Matrix channel on YouTube, Rumble channel on Rumble MG Show, and also playing on Facebook, as well as Truth for Freedom. I am Shannon Townsend, your host tonight for Q Lounge Live as we celebrate America turning 250 years old. It has been 250 years of freedom, bringing you freedom from shore, sea to shining sea. Thank you guys so much for being out here. Thank you all for coming to this conversation. This is like our living room together. We are going to come here every single week and discuss all of the different things that are happening around Q and the unbelievable information dissemination operation that Donald Trump unleashed on the communist, globalist world order. We're going to orient our language and talk to things exactly the way that they are. That is exactly who we are fighting. We are fighting an entity that has decided that it does not want to come out and fight you one-to-one. It hides in the shadows. It hides under every single rock and has absolutely no desire whatsoever for you to be able to figure out what's going on and or much less to do something about it. Well, what we're here to do is we are here to do something about it. And the best thing that we could possibly ever do about it is to give people the best possible information so that they can make the best possible decisions. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you. Thank you so much. We have Scottish Anon here, Eddie Mike, Agent Miami, Joe Kalupa. Thank you guys for being here on this wall, for supporting the relaunch of the Q Lounge Live here every single Tuesday night. We are going to be live at 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. We're also on all of your favorite podcast platforms. I think that last week's episode is up and this week's episode will be up ASAP. Please, I'm begging you, share this broadcast with your friends. You're going to help them tremendously to understand that the world that they live in is much different than the world that they're told that they live in. The world that you're told that you live in is a world of scarcity, and the world that you actually live in is a world of abundance. But the powers that be keep you suppressed and keep the truth suppressed and keep information suppressed, and therefore leading to everybody in America feeling like they have no voice anymore. You felt that. I know every single one of you at some point. Most of you have been censored. Most of you have been sidelined by members of your family simply because you've decided that you want to stand up for some good old-fashioned homegrown American freedom, and you want things to be fairly normal to what it is that you know that your founding fathers wrote down 250 years ago that they were going to make America into. They had a vision. They had a vision for us. They had a vision for you. They had a vision for this country. And that vision had to do with an unbelievable amount of abundance. That's what they envisioned for you. That's what they thought would happen. They understood that the kings and queens of the world or the realm operated in a methodology to where they would never allow human beings to gain real wealth so that you would stay their peasant. That is what reorganized the whole the whole history of the world and the way that America has come out of coming now around on 250 years. Every globalist on the planet has been telling you that America is going to go away. They've been telling you that the Constitution is an archaic document. They've been telling you that there is no real thirst for freedom anymore, that people want to be told what to do and people want to be led by the nose. We're here to argue that point. We think that we think that opportunity breeds success, and if you have plenty of opportunity, then the majority of people will be successful. Why? Because they can find something that it is that they love to do and excel at it. That's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to find something that you love to do and excel at it. So I encourage all of you out there to please comment on the video below. Let us know exactly what it is you're thinking. Tell us your thoughts about anything that we discuss here. I'm willing to communicate with you. You can reach me at shady@mg.show. You can communicate with us. We have our DMs are open on Twitter. This broadcast belongs to you. And we are not going to, the first couple of weeks, we're not going to be getting into the live call-in aspect of the new relaunch, but that is coming very soon. But the first few weeks, I wanted to dig deeper. Obviously, I came back right around the time for the July 4th celebration we're going to be doing this weekend, and to celebrate with you 250 years of America and the country that gave us all the opportunities that we have, no matter what they are. Even if your opportunity has been, even if life fails in some certain areas or things don't go exactly how you planned on them going, imagine being in a foreign country. Imagine being in Cuba. Imagine being in South America or some other blank hole country around the planet that doesn't give two craps about you whatsoever. At least you are an American, and I think every single one of us should wake up every day on the right side of the bed with some grace and gratitude to the country that gave us the opportunities that we exist in, whatever they may be. Failure, success, good, bad, big, little, whatever it is, we should all be grateful, and that's exactly what it is that this show is trying to do. And that's the reason that I set out on this journey to begin with, to talk about Q and to talk about Donald Trump and to talk about all you wonderful people out there that are overlooked. The elite refer to you as the flyover part of the country. You're not the flyover part of the country. You're the heartbeat of the country. You're the heart and soul of the country. You are what makes this place go every day. You want to look around, you want to go over, you want to see some apathetic human beings, go to Europe. They can't do anything about anything of their circumstance. They're completely 100% beholden to the powers that be. The powers that be tell them what to do, and because of that, they have no incentive. They have no motivation. How are you going to innovate? Why would you come up with something cool and new and develop it and bring it to market if the powers that be are going to tell you no? Now we're learning with the people that have been coming here from the World Cup that they don't even have air conditioning over there. How many of you thought that, Europe has devolved so far that they don't have air conditioning? Then now try to connect that to what it is that they've been doing to you for what they've been saying. Oh, you're not allowed to have meat. You're not allowed to have air conditioning. You're not allowed to have electricity. Or you're not allowed to have a gasoline-powered lawnmower now in California, or a weed eater that runs off of gasoline, due to this obnoxious, absurd climate garbage. That's what it is. It's climate garbage. They say that they want free. They say that they want cheap, abundant, free, quote unquote, green energy. But the reality is, you can't get to clean and abundant green energy unless you get there by the use of the fossil fuels that we currently have. Can we innovate to that particular point? Yes, maybe sometime in the future, but can we do it in 20 minutes from where we sit in the 3-4 years they put on the calendar? Absolutely not. Are they putting those restrictions on other countries? Absolutely not. What are they doing to America? They are selling you down the river, and they are setting you up for failure. That's the reason that we are supporting Donald Trump so vehemently and stand up and speak up for him, no matter how much these insane, miserable human beings lie. They come out to the television and they lie to you 24/7. Nothing that comes out of their mouth is real. Nothing that comes out of their mouth has any basis in fact. We talked about it last week on correspondence theory and understanding that if you want something to be true, you need to be able to point to something in reality that shows that it is true. They never do that. There's a reason that they don't do that. Donald Trump does that to you every time he talks to you. Every single time he talks to you, whenever he says that there is a problem, he shows you what the problem is, and then he shows you how he thinks that we can fix it. And even if maybe it's not the most popular opinion about how that somebody's going to fix it, you find yourself thinking, no one else ever offered me a suggestion. No one ever else offered me a suggestion as to how they were going to fix it. As a matter of fact, what do? They all just tell you that it's a problem. They all tell you it's a problem. It's a big problem. It's a problem. And the only thing that you hear is it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. At some point, you realize you're the problem, right? At some point, you realize that maybe what they're actually telling you is that you, the human being, individual of you, are the carbon that they want to eliminate. You're what they want to get rid of. Look at the death rate. Now they're, like I said, this whole thing with air conditioning in Europe, the death rate is spiking because of people dying from having to sit in this unbelievable heat all day. The human body they had modernization. They had a modern society 25, 30 years ago. What happened to it? Illegal immigration is what happened to it. You can't sustain a society like that whenever you have people from foreign countries invading it. And then now think about this. Now, not only are you inside with no air conditioning because it's unsafe to go outside, you don't have a choice. So you can't even go outside while it's 100 degrees or more inside. This is something that you can get people to recognize. These are things that we do not have to spend an hour and a half pontificating or articulating or straightening out or whatever. These are things people can really, literally understand the stuff that we're talking about here to take away a little bit of some of the mystery as to what is Q or as to what Donald Trump is doing with it. What I see out there through 8 years of watching this is how intentional people are making things up and how intently they are on making you believe it. There's no force out there that says that I have to believe something, but these people say stuff to you in the same way that they say stuff to you like, oh, come out and say do you believe Joe Biden won the election? Or say Black Lives Matter, or all of these things that they're trying to make you say. That's no different than what the Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene wing of the, they want to call themselves conservatives or Republicans. They're the wing, they're the Nazi party. Okay. And the Democrats are the Communist Party. And they're trying to trap you in the middle. We have an extensive history with Donald Trump not being afraid to say what needs to be said about communism. He's not just started saying it this week. As a matter of fact, he said it a couple of times directly this week, specifically even to go as far as to say it's a bigger threat than World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, and 9/11. Why is it a bigger threat? It's the same reason that Q said that the mainstream media are the enemy of the people. The mainstream media are the communist infiltrators. They're the same thing. Let me say that again. The mainstream media are the communist infiltrators. So whenever Donald Trump is talking about the communists, he's effectively mostly talking about NBC, CBS, ABC, PBS, and NPR. Those are the communists that all have microphones. They don't come out and use their microphones to say that they are communists. They come out and use their microphones to say, you shouldn't be opposed to a democratic socialist. Well, currently, right now, you have democratic socialists being elected that are not hesitating very much to tell you that they want the Jewish people of Israel eradicated. This is not all they say. They say they want the Jewish people from everywhere eradicated. So as we today stand up for what it means to be an individual and celebrate 250 years of America, we have an enemy at the front door. We have a leader who is willing to call out the enemy at the front door and to say with absolute certainty what it is that the problem is, what it is that they are doing to us, and how we're going to fix it. The events that happened today, I'm not going to go off on much of a tangent, but I think that if you heard the MG show earlier, you heard some of my commentary about the birthright citizenship and maybe a possible silver lining to that. J.D. Vance was on Laura Ingraham a couple hours ago. Just a little bit ago, I saw his interview with her, and he said something very, very similar. That this is a moment where we can pick up legislative power and we can go out and we can draft legislation to get rid of all of this confusion. I want you guys to understand so that you can share with your friends. This confusion is coming out of the Civil War and the 14th Amendment to reassimilate or to categorize black people or slaves in America as citizens of the country. That's effectively where this is coming from. This does not have anything to do, and it was said specifically by the people that wrote this that many years ago that was the case, that this had nothing to do with foreigners or aliens. Literally, it says it. So the Supreme Court is wrong. Thank you, Joe Kalupa. Q crumbs are magically delicious. Don't you think so, fam? I absolutely do, sir. I 100% think so. I think that the way, I think maybe we're seeing this a little bit different. What if what we're doing with Q is actually the way that we trigger these people? We can move them by making statements and comments and like posting as like, Q posting from the White House. We're going to look at a number of other things that have happened this week. And so as we lead into the show tonight, first we're going to jump in over here. We're going to get a couple of the current event things that are happening with the post. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for your support. I saw that there's a few subscription donations here. If you don't know, we are live from noon till 2 p.m. every single weekday on this channel. And I invite all of you over for a couple of different things. First, I'm going to share with you as we move over here. Look at this cool thing. Thank you to our great producer, Wet Yeti, Big 17 out for his work. Here we have the Q Lounge Live's presence on over on MG Show. So this is our site, and for some reason that made a weird noise. And thank you to Yeti for getting this set up for me. I'm going to send this over to you guys. And so this is on our site, mg.show. And here it is right there. Oh, all about the show, little old me. So cool. So I'm going to share that with you. And then I'm going to share this with you. This is our app. Get over there. Get the app. If you haven't downloaded this app, I don't understand why. I'm probably going to send you the link that they don't want me to use, but there's the link for the app and one more link for our Substack. Please subscribe and come over and give us some comments. Thank you so much, Liberty Bell, America 250, the greatest country that has ever existed. Not perfect, but oh, it jumped on me. Not perfect, but still the best. Absolutely true. And here is the Substack link. So get over there, subscribe to Substack, and support this show. Support this content. If you like what we're doing here, please let us know in any type of comments or any other way that you feel like we are. Like I said again, I'm going to say it all the time. We are here for you. We are here to be the calm before, during, and after the storm. And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you can't look at this and say, well, there just might be a storm that we're in the middle of. And yes, we are live. Absolutely. Cat father. We are live 5x5. So just happened to be, again, this week here, we have a couple of little instances, things that might connect to Q. I don't know. I'm going to let you do your own discernment out there. It's not up for me to tell you what to think about anything. I'm just going to show you what happened, the reality of what happened. How you feel about it from there is up to you. Here we have Department of War CTO. Patriots have always been in control. And that is very true. Since the beginning, since 1776, Patriots have been in control of this country. The silent majority still is in control of this country. And there's not anything that these people can do about it, except for cry. And that's what they do every single day. And so let's scroll down here. We have a couple of our favorites. Here's In the Matrix. Remain calm. Patriots are in control. Just happens to be a cube proof. Pesky. Here we have Design Frog. How you doing, brother? Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Here we have Lincoln Logger. Trust. Patriots in control. Look at this. My Twitter's actually working, and I can see your guys' stuff right now. That's amazing. Here we have Watcher222. Thank you so much. Big fan. Been on the wall a long time. Thank you, Trevor. God bless you, each and every one of you, to stand up and come over here and show up for our president is very important for people to see. And this is the reason I believe that they're posting these things. They're talking directly to you. Isn't it pretty cool how we have a quote unquote, what we got, pop culture event like Q that a lot of these people just kind of don't understand. It's like our own little It's like our own little group of people that I think it frustrates them. I really do. I think it frustrates them because they didn't decide to learn what it was we were talking about. They don't really, at their core, care about your country. And so it sort of just ends up showing, doesn't it? It ends up showing that they don't really care about your country. Well, the people that are currently elected into the White House and running the administration do. And all the neocons are desperate to try to convince you that they don't have your best interest at heart. Why is that? Why are they so adamant to try to convince you that the Trump administration doesn't have your best interest at heart? When you know you've been here for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, you know exactly what it is that they're intending on doing. Then we have this locked in from the White House, directly at the White House. This is a true event. You cannot argue whether or not the White House posted this picture of patriots in control as they fly over the obelisk in D.C. Patriots in control. And then again, here you have how many coincidences until it is mathematically impossible. All of the times that we have seen these types of drops explain what it is that we are saying to people in real time. Thank you so much, Rev Rob. We love you too. Appreciate you. That's from the Rumble wallet there. A little bit of gold for the crew here. Thank you so much. I love seeing these memes. I was saying the other night to Scottish Anon, I'm like, can you imagine if we had this type of technology whenever we were doing this stuff? We couldn't even get a picture on a piece. We couldn't even hardly get a picture on paper. And so here you have patriots in control. And now we went through this a little bit this is the graphic that was created. These are the drops that contain the phrase patriots in control. How interesting. Let's do a little bit of a review and let's see if there's a message out there for patriots in control. We have a post 3387. Listen very carefully. Again, past 2 years, note next 6 years. You were told what was going to happen. You were told what battles we face. Strategic, pre-planned, patriots in control. Yes, we were told that we would face an enemy that was hidden. The silent war, that we were going to try to put an end to the silent war. It just so happens that post 2945 contains the phrase patriots in control. It also contains the picture "We are Q" from Donald Trump's initial inauguration. You should update your Twitter banner here. This is basically, have you ever witnessed a public all-out attack by an opposition party against the President of the United States? It still goes on today. This post was from 3/3/2019. This is 7 years ago. Those who would normally hide in the shadows are forced into the light. That is not looking glass. That is, how do you get them to make mistakes over a period of time so that the country can see who they really are? You don't have to do anything other than show people the truth and let them figure it out on their own, individually. And that takes time. It takes years to break mind control. And effectively, that's what we're doing, is we're breaking the mind control. We're breaking the mind control that has existed in this country unabated for many, many decades. And it's working. That's the big part. It is working. Here, start from the beginning, small sampling of the proofs. Patriots are in control. This, if I remember this video, this had a number of the timestamps that we all know also were true things that occurred. These things were posted at these exact times, correlating directly to Donald Trump's Twitter account and Dan Scavino's many, many times. Zero Delta, over 40 times. Q and the president's Twitter posted within 3 seconds of one another. Within 3 seconds. Over 40 times. That's what mathematically impossible means. And here we have the post all about the Russia collusion, the working with here's about Wiener laptop, talking about all of the is it possible that what is knocking around in the back of my head, but really I know the family of memory from having done a lot of this work, at least in my memory, it's much more than an informal than meeting about it, but it's possible. I do not recall. These people deserve to blank. These people are sick. We are the cure. Patriots in control. The world will know the truth. Goodbye, Mr. Rosenstein. Goodbye, Mueller. Patriots in control. And here we have another one in reference to the Comey memos, I think. Will you stand or cower? Resist the op will not provide enough public support for the cover. And then I think this is the last one, all about the Iran nuclear deal that is currently being hammered out right now in real time. Mentioning the sum of all fears, mentioning Syria. Why did we strike Syria then? And what does Uranium One provide? Effectively, Uranium One provides a shield for a country so that the country can threaten anyone and act like the threat is valid and no one could do anything about it. So everyone would have to capitulate in a blackmail scenario. That's exactly what it is that Q is trying to explain to us here in these drops. It is not complicated, and it is not all of these different things like, oh, all the way back to the time of JFK and Q was this during 2000 and Bush. Like, Q did not exist before Trump's administration in 2016. There was nothing about Q that existed that we can verify in any discernible format whatsoever that goes back before the operation was initiated in October of 2017. Also, to mention that Q explained specifically that this was the initiation of it and that this was the way that it was going to be dealt with. As a matter of fact, in this post right here, it explains to you in 2019, listen carefully, note the past 2 years, note the next 6 years. We are now into the 7th year of that 6, and you can clearly see that all of these different things that Q mentioned and talked about are coming to pass. You're seeing it happen every single day. And this was, I think this was posted just tonight, just this evening. That's the current look down on the National Mall with the fair. And isn't it just crazy, all of the nutty people that are like wishing bad for your country or talking down to you, or all of the different insanity of like trying to say, oh, well, nobody's showing up at the fair and all this stuff, trying to try. That, ladies and gentlemen, was not a thing whenever we were younger. There was not this whole idea that we're just going to like screw it up. We're going to run out and we're going to raising money from foreign billionaires to like send people down to protest in favor of algae at the reflecting pool. And I think that all you guys are keeping up, but the reflecting pool and the work that we spoke a little bit about it last week, but the media they're falling all over themselves to tell you how messed up it is when they had absolutely nothing to say about it whenever it stunk like a sewer. They were literally piping in the water that was coming down the Potomac River right into that reflecting pool every single day. Imagine children being in that water, okay, or touching that water that's coming out of the Pacific or coming out of the Potomac River. If you've ever been to the Potomac River, you will understand what I'm talking about. It is not very clean. But they never said anything about it being dirty. They never said anything about it being a problem. And Donald Trump says, okay, I see that this is a problem and I want to go fix it. And then all of a sudden they're all animated and acting like the people that are protesting for algae are the freedom fighters. I mean, I really don't know if they all like went to take the classes, like the Communist 101 classes, like they all took the same class. Because it's like, it's cookie cutter thought forms. Whenever we interface with one another, you can stand in a room of 20 people and we can talk, and like very rarely will more than two or three of the people have extremely similar position on anything. Everybody has nuance to the reasons. Okay, I have this experience in my life, or this is the reason that I have. These people have no reasons. They just hate you, and they emulate hate, and they're perpetuating hate, and their perpetuation of hate is exactly what it is that they say you are doing. They censored me, this broadcast, claiming that I was perpetuating hate, or that my content is now currently locked out on YouTube because it's quote unquote content whatever. The hate is controlled, and the hate is only allowed in certain avenues and methodologies so that it works to function to further divide us. And we talked about last week how what the founding fathers said whenever they were setting up the country and what they meant by what they were setting up the country, and how the ridiculous notion of diversity is our strength. How can diversity be our strength? I would like for somebody to just explain that to me calmly and slowly, how diversity can be your strength in any scenario. None of the founding fathers talked about that. As a matter of fact, they talked about something completely different. So those are a few of the events that have happened this week. There's actually been maybe even a couple of more that I missed out on, but that there you can see again as we move through the summer and into the election season. I just heard earlier that there has been announced a convention. There's going to be a Republican convention in Dallas that Donald Trump is initiating, where they are going to get organized and set up to run the midterms. We are going to obliterate these people in the midterms. Once we beat them in November, and it is a bloodbath for Democrats and for the neocons, that's the moment where we no longer have to listen to them. That's the moment where all of the air goes out of their balloon, because they cannot sustain another 2 years, and that almost certainly means that whoever it is, more than likely to be Donald Trump, runs for president in 2028 is going to win on our side. I would put forward the notion from here that I don't know that a Democrat can win an election. I'm seeing a massive civil war forming in the Democrat Party right now, where a number of them are getting a little bit of cold feet when it comes to supporting outright communism under a header from Mondami in New York, literally acting like they have a foot in the door and nobody can stop them. Let's see if anybody can stop them. I mean, I think that's going to be an interesting thing, as we move forward. So let's take a look at this website here. And I was on the wrong one earlier, and Jeff helped me get to the right place. This is the website you want to be on for all of the stuff going on with America 250. This is where you want to be. And also, this has not only the events and news and different updates and things that are going to be going on throughout the weekend, but you also can send your family here, kids here, to learn a little bit more about the country, giving an unedited version of what it means, the American story means, and what freedom means, and why we're celebrating here for 250 years. What does it mean to be America's birthday? And then the story of America, a number of videos here that look like they're from the shot heard around the world. The story of America, the formation of our army. We've talked about that on a Q Lounge Live or two. The story of the Battle of Bunker Hill and how America got started. Then also here we come down to the timeline, a timeline of the country and the different events, because I've noticed that whenever Jesse Waters goes out there and sends his boy to the beach to ask these people like all the history of America, none of them know anything. They don't know anything about the country. They don't know when the French and Indian War was. They don't know anything about the Stamp Act. They don't know about the Boston Massacre. They don't know when the Tea Party was. They don't know about any of these events that you can go right here and learn amazing stuff to share with your friends. Go out there, share it on Facebook, share it on social media and stand up for the country that you so love. It is they are trying to shame us. They want to shame us into not standing up for the country. And why would they want to do that? Why would they want to do that to us? It's intentional. They fear you. So for tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a little bit of history. You know what the MO of the Q Lounge Live is. We don't get out of here without learning a little bit of something. And so we're going to dig into the first couple paragraphs. I'm going to read the first couple paragraphs here of Washington's inaugural speech. And let's get an idea of what was going on way back then, 240 years ago, whenever we were actually forming our country after we successfully shot those redcoats in the face and forced them to surrender. On April 16, 1789, 2 days after receiving official notification of his election, George Washington left his home on the Potomac for New York. Accompanied by Charles Thompson, his official escort, and Colonel David Humphreys, his aide, he traveled through Alexandria, Baltimore, Wilmington, Philadelphia, Trenton, Princeton, New Brunswick, and Bridgetown, now Rahway, New Jersey. At these and other places along the route, the artillery roared a salute of honor, and the citizens and officials presented him with marks of affection and honor, so that his trip became a triumphal procession. On April 23rd, he crossed the bay from Bridgetown to New York City in a magnificent barge built especially for this occasion. Lacking precedents to guide them in the preparations for the first presidential inaugural, Congress appointed a joint committee to consider the time, place, and manner in which to administer to the president the oath of office required by the Constitution. Certain difficulties in planning and arrangements arose from the fact that Congress was meeting in New York's former City Hall, rechristened Federal Hall, which was in process of renovation under the direction of Pierre Léon. So that kind of sets the stage here, and let's read a little bit. These are the words of George Washington. Among the vicissitudes incident to life, no event could have filled me with greater anxieties than that of which the notification was transmitted by your order, and received on the 14th day of the present month. On the one hand, I was summoned by my country, whose voice I could never hear but with veneration and love, from a retreat which I had chosen with the fondest prediction, and in my flattering hopes with an immutable decision as the asylum of my declining years, a retreat which was rendered every day more necessary as well as more dear to me by the addition of habit to inclination, and of frequent interruptions in my health to the gradual waste committed on it by time. On the other hand, the magnitude and difficulty of the trust to which the voice of my country called me, being sufficient to awaken in the wisest and most experienced of her citizens a distrustful scrutiny into his qualifications, could not but overwhelm with despondence one who, inheriting inferior endowments from nature and unpracticed in the duties of civil administration, ought to be peculiarly conscious of his own deficiencies. In this conflict of emotions, all there ever is that it has been my faithful study to collect my duty from a just appreciation of every circumstance by which it might be affected. All I dare hope is that if, in executing this task, I have been too much swayed by a grateful remembrance of former instances, or by an affectionate sensibility to the transcendent proof of the confidence of my fellow citizens, and have thence too little consulted my incapacity as well as disinclination for the weighty and untried cares before me, my error will be palliated by the motives which mislead me, and its consequences be judged by my country with some share of the partiality in which they originated. Such being the impressions under which I have, in obedience to the public summons, repaired to the present station, it would be peculiarly improper to omit in this first official act my fervent supplications to the Almighty Being who rules over the universe, who presides in the councils of nations, and whose providential aids can supply every human defect, and his benediction may consecrate to the liberties and happiness of the people of the United States a government instituted by themselves for these essential purposes, and may enable every instrument employed in its administration to execute with success the functions allotted to his charge. In tendering his homage to the great author of every public and private good, I assure myself that it expresses your sentiments not less than my own, nor those of my fellow citizens at large less than either. No people can be bound to acknowledge and adore the invisible hand which conducts the affairs of men more than those of the United States. Every step by which they have advanced to the character of an independent nation seems to have been distinguished by some token of providential agency, and in the important revolution just accomplished in the system of their united government, the tranquil deliberations and voluntary consent of so many distinct communities from which the effort has resulted can not be compared by the means by which most governments have been established without some return of pious gratitude, along with a humble anticipation of the future blessings which the past seemed so or to presage. These reflections arising out of the present crisis have forced themselves too strongly on my mind to be suppressed. You will join with me, I trust, in thinking there are none under the influence of the proceedings of the new and free government can more auspiciously commence. There's a little bit, there's a couple more paragraphs here, but you get a sense of what Washington is saying there, don't you? How he's feeling about this moment where he has been elected to lead the country. And so I've got a little bit of an overview here from, I'm going to just read you what I told, what I set Grok up to do. Give me a detailed, very thorough outline and specific interpretation of Washington's inaugural address. The transcript is here. I don't want what others say it says. I want you to utilize the definitions of words used during the time period and read it twice. Look deeper at what Washington really meant here. Then outline your conclusion. This is a test to see if you're really honest. No cheating. And so Grok gave me this outline, and I'm going to jump down to the bottom because I actually was pretty impressed by the summation here. And I thought that you guys would enjoy to hear this. The conclusion and outline. Washington's address is a deliberate, restrained statement of character, principle, and dependence, rather than a policy program or a rhetorical flourish. Through its structure and language, he communicates 1. Personal acceptance of burdensome duty despite self-doubt and preference for retirement, modeling humility and reasoned discernment of obligation over ambition or emotion. 2, profound reliance on active divine providence, the invisible hand, providential agency, benediction, propitious smiles to heaven, both in America's past and for the new government's success. Human defects require God's aid, and moral fidelity is the condition for continued favor. Constitutional fidelity and legislative primacy. He refers questions of policy and amendments to Congress, praising its members in rectitude of patriotism and impartiality as the surest safeguards. Moral foundations. This is very important. Moral foundations of Republican government. National policy must rest on, quote, pure and immutable principles of private morality. We're in a world where these people are taking their private immorality outside in public in your streets every day. In the natural moral order, virtue produces happiness and prosperity. honest, magnanimous policy brings public reward. Disregarding heaven's eternal rules forfeits divine smiles. Fragility and high stakes of the experiment, quote, the sacred life or the sacred fire of liberty and the destiny of the Republican model are staked on the American people's virtue and wisdom. Success requires enlarged views, temperate, moderate consultations, and wise measures under divine blessing. Unity and impartiality over faction or sectionalism. That means you will tell the truth regardless of whose party you belong to. We live in a world now where they're not willing to do that. The comprehensive and equal eye over the assemblage of communities, reverence for freemen's rights, and regard for public harmony. Personal disinterestedness, explicit refusal of salary or emoluments consistent with prior service. In sum, Washington meant to inaugurate a virtuous, pious, constitutional, and unified republic under Providence. He presents the new order as divinely marked in its origins, yet perpetually contingent on the moral excellence of leaders and citizens. Society existing is contingent on moral excellence of leaders and citizens. Do you see how they're ruining society? The speech is sober, reverent, and cautionary. It offers no guarantees, only an experiment whose preservation of liberty depends on continued alignment with the eternal moral rules, impartial deliberations, and humble reliance on divine aid. It sets a tone of executive restraint, congressional respect, national over local or party interest, and moral seriousness appropriate to the unprecedented undertaking. This reading emerges directly from the text, word choices, structure, omissions, and internal logic when examined in the linguistic and conceptual context of its time. Light bulbs? Did Washington say diversity was your strength? No. No, he did not. So from there, here we'll take a quick look at Q Post 1776. Q Post 1776 is a picture of the pen with hashtag 1776. The caption reads, or the post reads, without the pen of the author of Common Sense, the sword of Washington would have been raised in vain. John Adams. Common sense. How many times have you heard Donald Trump say common sense? Are you guys hearing Donald Trump say common sense? Why? Why were you taught common sense? Here I have another little thing that I'm going to bring you from Grok to summarize, outline in great detail, but summarize the importance of the publication Common Sense to the success of the Revolutionary War and the establishment of America. And the outline that Grok gives us is that this: Thomas Paine's Common Sense, January 1776, was the single most influential publication in galvanizing colonial support for full independence, transforming a divided and reconciliation-minded populace into a unified force committed to breaking with Britain. Its unprecedented circulation, accessible language, and powerful arguments shifted public opinion almost overnight, pressured the Continental Congress toward the Declaration of Independence, boosted recruitment and morale for the Continental Army, and embedded the Republican liberty-centered principles that became the foundation of the United States. In both the military success of the Revolutionary War and the ideological establishment of America as a self-governing republic, Common Sense provided the essential spark, popular mandate, and intellectual framework that made victory and nationhood possible. It remains one of history's clearest demonstrations of the power of ideas and the plain language to change the course of events. So there you have it. There you have a pretty good idea that what your country was founded upon are positions and thoughts and perspectives that are currently not only not entertained, but they're being diminished in public right in front of you for the simple task of demoralizing the country. That's what they're trying to do. They know that unless they demoralize you, unless they turn you into a cynic, unless they get you to think that nothing that you do matters, if you are still a human being that thinks that you can control tomorrow, in other words, that yes, you've been through your life, and yes, things have affected you, and yes, the burden is heavy sometimes to carry it, but the reality is you can wake up tomorrow and do better. The reality is you can wake up tomorrow and forget all of your troubles and start to cause better outcomes. You have the opportunity to do that here in a country called America. Other countries do not offer you that same opportunity. No other country offers you that opportunity. No other country stands up and says that you as a human being, this is where people get me all worked up, because all of these people want to go around and scream and yell about all these people. There's nobody being arrested. There's nobody. Arrests happen when there are crimes. Crimes occur whenever there is evidence. Evidence has to be submitted. Every single person that you think that is an American should be prosecuted, thrown under the jail, all of these different things that you think should happen to them. First, they have to be convicted. And no matter how much you cry, whine, wail, wish, think, whatever you want to do about it, unless there is evidence laying around somewhere, or unless somebody's got the cojones to come out and turn these people in and say what it is that they're doing to a court of law and a jury of their peers, they are going to continue to be innocent until proven guilty. Another thing is, a number of the Q posts said very specifically that only roughly 20 to 30% of all of this nonsense is ever going to see the light of day. The main thing that is important for the stuff to see the light of day is the funding that is going on. The funding that is happening through the 501c4s and the Arabella networks and the foreign money pass-through is where the rubber is going to meet the road through all of this. You can stop a tremendous amount of this insanity by stopping these, what was called earlier, the protest industrial complex, or whatever they called it, the NGO industrial complex. That's effectively what they're doing. I'm sure that if you live in an inner city and you can't find a job, and if you do find a job, it's like you got to go work for somebody for 40 hours a week, and you got to show up on time and be there every day. Well, that's a lot more difficult than it is to like sign up on some sort of community forum and become an Antifa and get money deposited directly into your bank account every time that you go out and have yourself a little protest. Or that if you get arrested, they're going to be like right there to spring you out of jail and put you back on the street. All of this stuff that's happening right now in the Supreme Court with birthright citizenship and a number of these other things that are going on are good in the long run, because we need to be bringing ourselves back to the point in which we as a country can act as if we are in control of what it is that we're doing, that we have the levers, that we can actually maintain the government that was instituted for us by our founders, by Washington, by Franklin, by Adams 250 years ago. We are celebrating America's 250th anniversary here, America's birthday. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We're almost an hour into the broadcast of the second Q Lounge Live. And for a little bit of an interlude, we're going to bring in an unbelievable rendition of America the Beautiful. If you guys have been here with Q Lounge for a while, you know that I've played this a number of times. Well, I'm going to bring it in for you right now as I take a little bit of a break. We got a song, a couple commercials, and I'm going to be right back after these words.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, For amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. His grace on crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for heroes prove in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, they got thy gold refined, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Beautiful America, yeah, beautiful America, yeah. Ooh, from sea to shining sea. Shining sea. Beautiful America, yeah. Beautiful America, yeah. From sea to shining, shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriotry that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. Shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. And crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining
Thank you so much for watching America the Beautiful by the One Voice Children's Choir. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Hello, it's Jeffrey Peterson and Shannon Townsend with The MG Show. We are under relentless attack by the mainstream media. They've got our PayPal, our Patreon, our YouTube, our everything, you name it. We are under attack. We need your help.
Our request is for you to get involved and support independent patriot journalism here in this critical battle that we are in for America. Please jump on over and support us right here on Give, Send, Go.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free. My Pillow's second annual mega sale is finally here.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciated being here. Very emotional rendition there for recognizing the powerful nature of what it is that we are. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal because what they've been trying to do for so long is to make you small. My whole generation in particular, they wanted to make us small. They said that you didn't count, you didn't matter. Don't go for the gusto. Don't try to live big. Don't stand up. Don't proclaim what it is you're saying. Be quiet as a mouse. The adults are in the room that are talking, and you should go back and rethink what it is that you're saying over and over again. How could we have possibly been blessed with a moment where a human being takes his pretty much perfect life and upends it for the betterment of all of us, to literally sacrifice his reputation, to sacrifice his companies, to sacrifice possibly, who knows what the long run is for Donald Trump and or his family. We're attempting to build a legacy, but the reality is these people want to tear us down at every single turn. They want you to stop proclaiming that you love your country. At least be quiet about it. And they want to amplify everybody that says there's something wrong with it, so that all you see are these people telling you about how terrible that we are and how terrible that you are because you decide to support Donald Trump. And now they've all they want to claim that he's this and he's that and act like these cases against him were legitimate, or initially, which is it? They at one moment they're going to tell you that he's completely disabled and that he can't hold a thought against another one. He's fallen asleep and that he can't even that he's in cognitive decline. And on the next very moment of the same exact program, you will hear that he is an unbelievable dictator, that he has power over everybody and nobody can do anything unless they bow down to Donald Trump. Can't be both. So you can see that the faux outrage is fake. The whole narrative is fake, and it's giving us a perfect opportunity. It's giving us a perfect opportunity to reconcile some of the things that we've been told and to recognize that the correspondence to reality must exist for us to believe a damn thing that comes out of these people's mouths. And they don't have it. They don't share anything that corresponds with reality. We can share things that correspond with reality. We can share evidence that clearly shows that the 14th Amendment was not intended to bring the 2/3 of the globe into America and somehow give them my Medicaid benefit. It's insane. But they say it to you with a straight face, and now we have, and one thing that I did hear JD say about the birthright citizenship thing that was up, actually pretty good, was that it was a 5-4. I guess that there's been rumors in D.C. that this was going to be like an 8-1 decision against Donald Trump and all this nonsense. So it is good news. It is great news that we had a 5-4 decision today. Yao Ming, thank you. Says thank you, Shady. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. Just your support for what we're doing here. Like I'm ready to talk to all of you, but I'm also ready for all of you to make sure that you support what it is we're doing here. And I don't just mean by financially supporting what we're doing. I need you out here. I need you reposting the show. I need you commenting on the show. I need you to share it with your friends. I need you to ask your friends nicely to take a listen to what Shady says here. Is his message really all that bad? Give it a try. Understand that we can reconcile a lot of these differences with people whenever they see common sense. And what you're going to find on this show, every single time that I turn on this microphone, is I'm going to present you some common sense things that you can utilize for yourself to not railroad anybody, but to share with them. Your goal is just like my goal. My goal is to live an abundant, fruitful life with people and enjoy the time that we have with them. Life doesn't go on forever. I know that sometimes, especially whenever you're a little bit younger, you feel like life goes on forever. It doesn't. No one's made it out alive. You got to remember that. And the founding fathers understood that, and that's the reason that they were so delicate. Whenever you read these documents and you go back and you understand, like you read Thomas Paine and you read the Federalist Papers, and you recognize that they were vitriolic and they were compassionate at the exact same time. We shouldn't be offended when people are vitriolic toward us, and we shouldn't be expecting people to be compassionate towards us. You can't walk through this world with false expectations. If you walk through the world with false expectations, what it's going to end up doing is turning you into a cynic. And a cynic doesn't, not only will a cynic not believe in their country, a cynic won't even believe in themselves. And once you don't believe in yourself, then you will never accomplish. Listen, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe every single one of you are put here for a reason. I believe that every single person that is out there anywhere was put here for a purpose. I also believe that you have the free will to not attain it, or to not achieve it, or to not care about it. That's part of your test. I was tested. I didn't necessarily want to do this. If I turn on a microphone and expose yourself, and didn't necessarily want to do it. But that's where it led. And I had no choice but to do it. And now I'm here 8 years later with an unbelievable family that we've created around us that can break the chains of bondage. That's what you're doing. Every time that they try to tell you something that you know that it's not true, it's like they're trying to bound you to it. It's like a chain link. They're trying to like attach it to you. And then the other end of that chain is already attached to the deck of the ship. Somehow you escape the handcuffs every time. Somehow that chain can't clamp on you because you don't buy into their garbage. And that's kind of, that's sort of what we all have learned that together. That has been the experiment. That has been what it is that we've been doing. So we're going to take a look now. We've gotten a little bit of an overview of what George Washington said. We've dug into what common sense was and how we ended up with some common sense. I would like to put forward that if someone had come out and published, made a publication of uncommon sense and attempted to make a country off of uncommon sense, it would not have worked. You can't do it. So how in the hell are these people right now telling me that they're better fit to run my country as they continually ignore the commonsensical thing that there is to do? Common sense isn't something that hides from you. It's something that you see immediately. It's the thing that gets you to recognize that they're a hypocrite. Because you see, common sense tells you that that's not what you would do if you're in that situation. And then they tell you, and then the whole narrative is, oh, Congress is a bunch of idiots. No, they're not a bunch of idiots that are doing the wrong thing. They're extremely intelligent people that are doing the right thing for them. And that's the reason that you have Ron Paul and Rand Paul. Look at this, guys. We have dug in. Now once they started piping up against Trump and started backing the neocon pro-Iran position, you start looking into the network and the particulars, and now you're seeing that they're foreign funded too. Ron Paul, libertarians are foreign funded and currently attacking Donald Trump. There's not a libertarian on this earth that is a true to-form libertarian, as you would think that the founding fathers would think of something of as a libertarian, that is against Donald Trump. A libertarian is going to be pro-mask. A libertarian is going to be pro-DEI. A libertarian is going to be against law and order. You recognize they're telling you straight to your face they are against law and order. Your country does not exist without law and order. So they're telling you that they want to get rid of it and make something else. Something that, whatever it is, they're not really sure about what it is. They can't articulate it. They can't write it down. They don't really know, but all they know is that it's way better than what you nuts are doing. Innocent and proven guilty is no good for them. Rule of law is no good for them. Evidence in a court of law and being convicted by a jury of your peers is not good for them. As a matter of fact, whenever they get convicted of being criminals, they scream that that's hatred. So they've effectively turned the criminals into the victim. Not very common sense. And so currently what we're having here in America is we have a whole slew of people that have been coming to the country from all over the world. And minus a few of the morons, I think there was a few that we showed out here in Portland or Seattle or something, but minus a few of them, you're seeing gratitude in a perspective or in social media context that I've never seen anything like this. And so I've got a couple of videos that I'm going to bring in now where we showcase just a couple of these that I think that you guys would benefit to see what the world sees of you.
Literally just had the best restaurant experience that we'll probably ever have in our lives, not to be dramatic. Let me see. Put your wipers on. Liberty Restaurant, Scottsboro, Alabama, has to be the best restaurant and diner experience you could ever get. And I feel like I was going to say in the South or like in Alabama, but I feel like in the whole of the USA and the world.
She's
oh
not
my gosh.
exaggerating. She's
No.
not even exaggerating.
No. So we went in and the people working there were nothing but kind and lovely and welcoming, like straight over to us with a big smile. And, you know, like that southern drawl, like the lady was calling me baby. And I was like, oh my gosh. And they were really, really friendly serving us. And then we were ordered dessert and we were talking about the dessert. And then the lady, we got none of their names either, which I feel terrible about. But the lady was like, oh, this is another dish that I would love you to try. So she gave us a free dessert. We tried that there. It was amazing. And then one of the other ladies working there came over, gave us a souvenir, which was a fridge magnet for free. And then she took our YouTube name, our Instagram name, and was like, oh, I'm going to tell everyone else here about you. And then they gave us a marker and was like, can y'all please like write on our wall, like we get people who aren't from town to write on the wall about their experience. And we were like, yeah, of course we can. At this stage, Scott and I were like, oh, we need to leave like a massive tip, like really, really pay them for their service and their kindness. And then when we were leaving, Scott was like, okay, can we pay now? And the man was like, no.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure he was the owner. He was like, no, I've taken care of your ticket. I've covered it. And you aren't paying. And we were like, no, please. Like,
And my jaw dropped. I was like, no, that's too nice. Like, it's too much.
Literally, we were like, please. Like, we don't even have cash to leave a tip. We were like, please. And he was like, no, like, it's covered. It was just insane. They took our photo as well. Like, like of us on their phone to have our photo. And it was just out of this world. Absolutely insane. And I am gutted to be leaving. But if anybody sees this near Alabama, near Scottsboro, in the south, please make a point of going to the Liberty Restaurant in Scottsboro. It is just 12 out of 10.
The food was genuinely amazing.
Yeah.
The desserts were insane. I got the banana pudding, and it was like one of the nicest desserts I've ever had. It was ridiculous.
I don't like bananas. And I tried it, and it was amazing. It was 10 out of 10. The food was brilliant. Like, I'm all here about the service, but the food was amazing. They make everything themselves from scratch, just all round, like the best restaurant experience that we'll probably ever get. And that's it. That's all I had to come on and just talk about it. It was literally, I was crying in the restaurant because I was so moved by it. And I think that sums it up. See y'all later.
Your heart swells up, doesn't it? Whenever you see stuff like that. The establishment doesn't want you to see stuff like that. The establishment would rather this had never happened. They would rather this whole thing. No. All these people that are going to these events for the World Cup have been to many countries. And they've never done anything like this for that country. I promise you that. And so I have a couple more here that we're going to, or I think I have one more actually. Let's see.
There's a whole slew of like European people.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to jump into this one. And then we're going to get into a couple other things here real quick.
There's a whole slew of like European people who are coming to the U.S. for the first time and realizing they've been lied to about how their country is even legitimate compared to ours. This guy from South Africa who's shocked that there's no open race war happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, that's funny.
It is 12 o'clock at night. Look at this. Nothing. No one. I just took a walk all the way down there. Midnight. It's freaking midnight, and I'm completely safe. And I'm a white person walking around.
First of all, I didn't know South Africa was that bad.
This is a guy from Italy who's grew up in socialism his entire life.
Okay.
And doesn't understand that when companies have to compete for your business, they have to do better than the other companies.
Right.
And then you get a bunch of cool shit as a result of it. It's called capitalism.
I can do this 1,000 times.
Yeah, but you won't drink 1,000 cups.
You don't know me. And it's free.
This is the game changer because people say, what even is American food? There's been these arguments before. There's like thousands of hours on Twitter of these videos of European people eating mostly Texas barbecue for the first time. And they're like, what the This is a long-term strategy, I think. But if we get all these people over the next month for the World Cup hooked on pork ribs, they can get the Muslims completely out of here.
How do we get these people into our country versus the shitbags from Somalia and everywhere else? That's serious.
Also, the shitbags that are already here. I think we do a one-for-one.
Swap them out, too.
Yeah, blue-haired liberal goes to the UK. You want all that shit they got anyways. You want Muslims right next door.
Go to Canada.
Go there.
Start making trades here for people.
100%. I could get on board with every single ounce of what those guys are saying right there. And I think the majority of this audience can too. The videos are endless. I have sat there and I bet I have watched 4 or 5 hours total of this. Like I cannot get enough of it because I'm astonished. It's like, so it's interesting. They are astonished at what is going on here. I mean, I'm talking like literally like they don't believe that there's yellow school buses. Like every single school district has yellow school. Like so I'm like it's this reciprocal thing. Like they're amazed at the country, and then I'm amazed that they don't have like normal things like air conditioning, and that they're like think about that. The one couple, you get out and you drive around and you explore this country. And it's just unbelievable. Like, they talk about like each state is like a different country. But right there, you had a couple that just popped in to a random diner that you would probably drive by so that you could go to like, some other restaurant that you shouldn't be going to. But the Liberty Restaurant in Alabama, and they talk about it like they literally just had a 5-star meal. That is the definition of America. That's who we are. That's who I am, and that's who each and every one of you are at the core of you. If you were that restaurant owner, which one of you would not have given that beautiful couple a freebie? Which one of you would have been able to take their money whenever they tried to pay you? I guarantee there's not a single human being in this that hears my voice that would take those people's money. Why? Do you think that there's a single restaurant that those people, do you think that there's a restaurant in Australia, Britain, Ireland, Scotland, or any other that we can just randomly, as an American, we just walk in there and we're like, oh, be overwhelmed with joy and gratitude and thankfulness. And then all of a sudden that establishment gives us a freebie. It's possible, but I doubt it happens often. Maybe it does happen, but it doesn't happen like it happens here. It doesn't happen like it happens at Liberty Restaurant in Nowhere, Alabama, or every single other one of these restaurants. I mean, you know, like driving, I drove, you know, attempted to make the East Coast trip last winter. And, you know, it's like so many self-owned businesses, so many people that own their own business in this country. It makes up over 50% of the economy. They don't want any of you having your own business. We're here celebrating America's 250. God bless each and every one of you for being a part of it, for being here, for being so into understanding what it is that's going on. And I found this post from Captain Kyle, and I wanted to bring this in and read it to you because I've found this to be pretty compelling, and I thought that I would bring in to share with you guys. The Great Awakening is real. Watch this Democrat have his moment of clarity, that exact second when the fog lifts and reality hits. You can see it in their eyes. The programming is cracking. The lies they have been fed for years are finally colliding with the truth and unfolding right in front of them. This is happening more and more every single day. This has been going on for about a month now, or at least 3 weeks. Former liberals, lifelong Democrats, and even some deep in the system are waking up to the corruption, the division, and the destruction of our country. They're realizing the America they thought they were fighting for was never the real target. It was always the Republic, our freedoms, and our future. The train of truth is rolling, and it's picking up speed. Just like that powerful big boy locomotive thundering across America for our 250th anniversary, nothing can stop this momentum. If you're a Democrat or a former Democrat watching this, welcome. The door is open. There's no shame in admitting you were lied to. We were all lied to. Millions have already made the journey. The golden age isn't just for some of us. It's for all of us who love this country. God bless America. The best is yet to come. Where we go one, we go all.
If someone had told me 10 years ago, right around this time, mid-June in 2016, that I was going to be a conservative Republican, I would not have believed that. None of my friends would have believed that person either. As a matter of fact, not only would I have laughed in that person's face, I probably would have cursed them out. I would have blocked that person. I would have dug my heels in, and I would have said something akin to, how dare you say that to me? Would you think I'm racist? Would you think that I am internally homophobic? Would you think that I am a bigot and anti-immigrant? Because I was propagandized. I was groomed by the mainstream media, including the entertainment and music industries, and I was groomed by the news media to live in a constant state of anxiety and fear and hypervigilance and paranoia. All because of the fact that a year prior to that, a man came down an escalator inside Trump Tower who had been known for decades as the symbol of the American dream and a darling of the media, and spoke up against corruption and lawlessness and crime, and he wanted to put this country first. And the news media hacked that speech to pieces. And they twisted his words, and they warped it, and they used it to brainwash half of the American voting populace into thinking that he was a bigot and a racist. And when certain women in the entertainment world came at him and he went back right at them with the same energy, they called him a sexist and a misogynist. And I didn't vote for him. Not once, because I was terrified of him. Moreover, the news media started airing clips of the rallies that he was hosting and showing people who were energized at these giant gatherings and calling them racist because they weren't showing the black people that were in the audience. They weren't showing the Latinos that were in the audience. They exclusively showed people who looked like this. Never once did they show black or Latino Americans that were at his rallies, even though they were 100% there. They didn't show the gay people at his rallies or the lesbians at his rallies. They made that man and all of his supporters into monsters. And I and millions of others fell for it. The media terrorized people into thinking that he was going to cancel gay rights and women's rights and voting rights. And when he won, I lost my mind, just like many others did. The difference between me and somebody like Brandon Strock is the fact that I stayed on the left for almost a decade, to the detriment of my mental health and to the benefit of the delusion that I was in. I have never once voted for Donald Trump, but by the grace of God, my eyes were opened and my mind was changed because I started paying attention to what was happening in our communities and in our metro areas, our Democratic-led cities, our borders. And when I started questioning things and being very open about it, I was called a racist, I was called a bigot, I was called a white supremacist, I was called a self-loathing gay, and I defended myself for a long time until Charlie Kirk was murdered. Because I watched people who I loved and cared about become evil and dance and celebrate that this man lost his life simply for having dialogue with people. These same people pray daily for the death of our president. They are the actual bigots. They hate white people, especially white men. I have seen people cheer because Austin Metcalf was murdered. I used to be one of these people. As recently as 2021, when Ashley Babbitt lost her life. And I have a lot of deep regret for how I carried myself. But I regret nothing now. Because I know I am on the correct side of things. You cheer for death. You celebrate it. You cheer for crime and lawlessness. You ignore it. And those of you living in the great state of Texas, as I do, our slogan used to be "Don't mess with Texas," but our cities are covered in trash and filth. Shame on you. And shame on me for having believed all those lies and for being as hateful as I was for such a long time. The only way I could ever see myself being a Democrat voter ever again is if they leaned back into common sense. But they won't. Because they are pandering to propagandized leftists who go based on feelings and no facts at all. So miss me with it. If someone
Wow. And I'm bringing you a couple examples like that. I want you to see the depth of what it is. So from your perspective, a lot of you went through a similar thing whenever, let's say you're calling it being red pilled. Effectively, when you're realizing that the world is not the world that you thought it was. That's the exact dynamic that these people are going through, And if we are who we say we are, we welcome that. We cheer that. We applaud it. We welcome them. We don't judge them by what it is we do or don't think they may or may not do. We listen to them. We recognize and we empathize and we have compassion in our hearts to understand that another American essentially can see through it like you do. You have common ground. Finding common ground is very difficult today because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure there is none. That's the reason it's hard to find some. That's the reason you can't have a conversation. And maybe a number of you have children that have went to college, have had a university education. All of a sudden they come back from college and they are disconnected, or they are somehow not as drawn to be a pillar in the family or the family structure any longer, or they are looking for pleasures of the flesh as opposed to looking for ways to establish and maintain a sacred honor, and to recognize that your word is all that you've got in the end. That's all you have. And so what we're doing, what's going on right now, remember whenever we were younger, they said, sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words will never hurt me. Well, now you have a society where everybody is hurt by a word, and everybody faux outrages over every word that is said and acts like it all is lost, no matter what the current thing is. And that's why the way that Jeff and I, the way that we characterize what it is that's going on and the way that we're mocking them is very specific to realize that they do the same thing to you. And there's nothing that they hate more than when you do it to them. And that's a lot of what we realized of how these people weren't like us, that were around us in the early part of what the two of us were doing. As you know, we were trying to build something together with one another and with other people. And all of these people that were around us were constantly trying to make sure that we didn't. And we didn't recognize that that's what was going on until we started talking to one another specifically about what it is exactly that other people are sharing with you and comparing notes. And once we started comparing notes, guess what we figured out? That all of these people were lying. They claimed they were our friends. They were lying. And then whenever we decided to stand up and speak at the RSE school out in Washington, they all activated and said that we weren't allowed to go out and speak about the Pace-Sword bloodline, and we weren't allowed to talk about the different things. And we are associating because we're talking here, it associates Q with them. No, that's backwards thinking. That's Democrat logic. You go wherever people are interested in hearing you speak. That's where you go. Doing a lot of that these days. So got a little overview there of like how much love, heartfelt love you are receiving from the world. No, a lot of people that once thought that you were an occupying, colonizing, empirical cesspool of crap are realizing that they envy you again, that they wish that they could be like you. And I agree completely with what those people were saying. They're like, oh, can we trade the blue hair people that hate America and bring in some of these people that seem like they could assimilate in society and function in a merit-based system where they get up and go to work every day and raise a family and interact with people in a kind, thoughtful, graceful manner? You're not going to get an argument out of me. So whenever we are, as we're kind of getting into a couple of the other particulars, I wanted to share this link from this post. I don't think that we're going to be able to get into any of it, but I'm going to share this link anyway, because I'd like for you guys to get over there and follow this account. It's really good. Chronicling Michael Johns here. I've reposted a number of his articles, but they're really good to get a sense of what was going on at the time of the revolution and of the time of the formation of your country. Here's the 250 years ago this week, chronicling the American Revolution, Part 1. If we have a minute, I might bounce back to this, but we've got a couple other things that I want to cover first to give you. And effectively what we're doing on the show is we are giving you an outline of why it is that you should love your country and how you can stand up for your country and effectively argue against people that are trying to tell you that there's something wrong with you for loving your country. That is asinine. It is ridiculous. And that's by far one of the easiest. It's also the 250. One of the easiest things to debunk. So here we're going to listen to a little piece on Squawk Box or whatever the hell it is, This is posted by the Treasury Department. And he's going to mention Adam Smith, and he's going to mention the wealth of nations. Do you guys know who Adam Smith was, or what is the wealth of nations? Well, hold on to your hats. We're going to have another little history lesson right after we listen to Mr. Besant here.
It's also the 250th anniversary of Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. And Adam Smith couldn't have imagined what the United States would have unleashed by letting people innovate, form their own businesses and live in a free society. When you unleash human potential like only the United States has, look what we've done. We should be proud of this in our 250th year. It's also the 250th anniversary of Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations.
So we talk about Adam Smith and the wealth of nations. And so we're thinking about a society that we live in and that we love, and it's called a capitalist society. How did you become a capitalist society? Well, largely due to some of the thoughts of Adam Smith, and Scotland represented here. The Wealth of Nations, an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations, usually referred to by its shortened title, The Wealth of Nations, is a book by Scottish economist and moral philosopher Adam Smith, published on March 9, 1776. As Smith's central intellectual project, the treaty sought to examine and explain the underlying political and economic principles by which commercial and industrial societies generate wealth. And it has become the foundational work in classical economics and been described as the first formulation of a comprehensive system of political economy. Smith radically transformed economic thought, laying the foundations and the policies that will produce unprecedented increases in productivity and wealth, eliminating scarcity for the first time in human history. By the 18th century, much of the emerging for a whole nation. By the end of the 18th century, much of the emerging world economy was dominated by feudal and mercantilist institutions of the European powers. We talked about feudalism earlier. That's kings and queens. Peasants shouldn't own land. In Europe itself, feudalism still shaped the economic life through hereditary privilege. That's bloodlines. Hereditary privilege means just because you had spawned a youngin', it becomes king. And restrictions on labor and commerce, while internationally, mercantilism sought to increase national wealth through state intervention, colonial trading monopolies, protective tariffs, and restrictions on international trade. A product of the ideas that the stagal conception of history and the spontaneous order and the empiricism of the Scottish Enlightenment. The treaty attempted to illustrate the growing contradiction between the inherited institutions and the assumptions of Europe's feudal and mercantilist, however you say that, economic order and the changing realities of the increasingly commercial and industrial society. Smith argued that these policies rested upon fundamentally mistaken political and economic conceptions among European political and economic elite, arguing that they inadvertently hindered rather than promoted the creation of wealth. He rejected the prevailing view that wealth was acquired through zero-sum competition between imperial states, instead arguing that the creation of wealth was enabled through free exchange of competition between individuals and the increasing productivity made possible by the division of labor. Smith employed the now famous metaphor of an invisible hand. This is where the invisible hand metaphor comes from. This is where capitalism, as you know it today, comes from, whereby he imagined that individuals within a free market were moved by the invisible hand force of supply and demand rather than the heavy hand of the state. And by doing so, these self-interested individuals moved towards unintended positive consequences, namely community welfare in the form of national wealth. Smith wrote, by pursuing his own interests, he frequently promotes that of the society. In the treaty, Smith not only critiqued the policies attributed to feudalism and mercantilism, but also the political and economic phenomena. He vehemently criticized slavery, rent seeking by landed interest and landlords, for which he instead suggested a land value tax, and probably a propagature of entails public debt and a military expenditure of imperialistic purpose. Although The Wealth of Nations did not immediately transform policy, the book became one of the most influential books in modern history, and the work represented a clear paradigm shift from the previous economic thought. Although Smith did not use the term capitalism, the book fundamentally shaped the field of economics and provided the theoretical foundation for capitalism and the economic policies that later prevailed in the 19th century. Karl Marx would later go on to write that The Wealth of Nations is the true Bible of the classical political economy of the 18th century. So, history lesson, Wealth of Nations. Look at what Scott Bessent told you there. That the people in this administration have your best interest at heart. They are looking out for you. They are looking out for what it is that you think that they're doing things, very simply, they're doing the things that you would do if you had the opportunity to do them. There's really no more simple way to explain it than that. And the argument against them is just noise. They're just making noise. I can handle, you can handle, any of us can handle a good debate, a good back and forth, a good argument. I love a good argument just as much as the next guy. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping that here in the near future, whenever we bring in the calls to the Q Lounge Live, we can have a little bit of back and forth, and I can get some of the people to call in that disagree with me, because I want you to see the way that I argue with them, to understand how firm and confident that we are. Whenever Jeff and Shannon talk about the different things that we talk about every day on the MG show, we're not confident out of arrogance. We're confident simply because we have looked into the matter and we have come to conclusions based on correspondence theory. In other words, is this true? Can I point to something in reality that corresponds to your statement? Correspondence. That's what you need to be doing. Anytime anybody says anything, if it sounds odd, you need to immediately be thinking out loud. Don't accept what they're saying at face value. Listen to them. Don't turn them off. Listen to them. Hear what they say. Understand what they say. Maybe even associate with them, or let them think that you kind of agree, or you can understand their position, whatever the hell it is. But you don't have to believe it until you can confirm it. And I think that's a big mistake. That what ends up happening in the human condition is that a person has the tendency to believe the last thing that they heard. And the establishment, that's kind of the reason. So whenever I was younger, people had a pretty fairly decent long attention span. Now people have like a 3-second attention span. If they could keep you like whittled down to this little 3-second attention span, you're never going to figure out a damn thing. Like you can't. You literally don't have the you don't have the bandwidth to be able to process what it is that somebody is telling you. Whenever you act as you act emotionally, Jeff says all the time, your emotions have no IQ. That's all they're really trying to do. They're trying to get you to react emotionally, and therefore, once you've done that, you'll defend your position until you have either a moment like one of these guys had, or something happens in your life to sort of kind of shift you out of it. So we're like I said, we're here. We're celebrating America's 250th anniversary. Can I get a 47 out there? Come on, give me. Is there anybody out there watching? 47 in the chat. If you are here to celebrate 250 years of the greatest country ever conceived on the face of planet Earth. I better see some 45s. That was a big setup. 47, I mean.
Let's turn right now. Maintain close. I'll call roll out. Tower's no factor under the nose. A little bit harder of a turn to center the Capitol. Descend it back down for 1100 Capitol Center. We're on the money.
Wow.
Burners ready now. Ready. Break.
Boom! Yeah!
Nice job, Falcon 5-0.
Thanks a lot. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Catch you guys later.
God bless America. I mean, you're not going to get me more excited than this to see the fever pitch of enthusiasm, the swell we talked about in the beginning. Whenever I came on and I first created this show, that they had reduced America, the flame, the fire that is this country. They had reduced it to an ember. Well, look at us now; it's a bonfire. The patriotism spreading around America is unfolding right in front of you every single day. You can see it. They are desperate to get you to attack Donald Trump. They're desperate to get you to call him a P3DO. They're desperate to say that he's Epstein. They're desperate to say that he's Israel. They're desperate to say, oh, it's all lost. I told you that they were going to do this to us. We told you that they were going to come to this conversation. We told you that they had no shame. And they don't. They're willing to burn it all down. They're willing to burn it all down and to never care, not 1 ounce, about anything whatsoever. I'm also going to share, I'm going to share this link with you all. Here is from 1776 Live. This is a really cool account too, that is posting some pretty interesting stuff that's lining up with like the dates of the country, the dates way back then, kind of moving towards the date of July 4th. But I think that what we're seeing here has so much more to do with the rekindling of who it was that we set out on a journey to become. America didn't become America in 3 seconds. America set out on a journey. We set out to become. We at no point did we claim, or do we claim, that America is the perfect nation, but it is the perfect idea of one. Can you articulate and think to yourself, can you articulate anything better than the idea that you, as an American, are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law by a jury of 12 people of your peers after you have defended yourself or had an opportunity to defend yourself? All of the stuff that people talk about, whether it be colonialism or occupation or empirical or the economy and all these other nonsensical things that these people scream and yell about, what you should be concerned about is the idea that there are people that are being prosecuted because of who they are, not because they've committed a crime. What you should be concerned about is there's a vigilante layer out there that is lurking on the right and the left of extremist ideology that tells you that nothing good is ever going to happen for you, and none of these people will ever be held to account in any way whatsoever. So you should just quit right now. You should just give it up. How many times have you heard it? How many times do they say it? Now we have the perfect dynamic that is given you perfect opportunity to recognize perfectly exactly where we are on the game board. And where you are is you are in the middle. Common sense doesn't go anywhere. Okay? You don't wake up one morning and stop using it. So then you think, okay, well, that's true, Shady. I didn't wake up and stop you. Why are you even saying that? Well, where did the people at the New York Times go? Where did their common sense go? Where did the 4 of the justices that just made this dumb decision today up there in the Supreme Court, where did their common sense go? It lost footing in their mental space due to popular opinion. Popular opinion drowns it out from within. That's the reason. That is what it's called. They call it a new world order. A new world order means a world organized out of popular opinion, not innocent until proven guilty. Popular opinion will get you to put a guy up on on a funeral pyre, or to put a guy up to burn them at the stake. A king could force people to, a king could convince people to go into someone's house and drag his ass out of there and stick him up and burn him. That happened however often throughout Europe for centuries. These people come to you and they tell you all of these different things, and they virtue signal over, Palestine as they're talking about LGBTQ rights. I'd like a couple of these blue-haired nonsensical people to confront Hezbollah with their safe space needs to be LGBTQ. It isn't hate to not want immorality in your society. It's common sense. I don't want to see it. You're allowed to be whatever you can be or whatever you want to be in private. I don't want to see your immorality because it makes other people decide that immorality is the path. And the Constitution and George Washington and other people that were a lot smarter than any of us had a different thing to say. They felt like that your virtue was your morality. They felt like that it was valuable, and they felt like that you could only be successful if you decided to function in a way that took it seriously. It's an amazing time to be alive. And right now, I'd like to play you guys as we get ready to wrap up Q Lounge Live number 2. Thank you guys, everybody, for the support and for being here and for the donations. Please, if you can donate, please do. I'm begging everybody out there that has the means to maybe pick up the reins a little bit and help us out here to help perpetuate us to get past the breakers. The MG show is starting to break out now that we have the InfoWars layer starting to subside. Thank you all so much for your contributions to each and every one of us here. But right now we're going to play us a little song, and I'm trying to remember the name of the song, but I think is it Let Freedom Ring, Yeti? Was that what it was? Freedom America? Okay, let's play this and check this out. Here's a little ditty from the era whenever we were shooting redcoats in the face for fun.
Torn from a world of tyrants beneath this western sky, we formed a new dominion, a land of liberty. The world shall own, we're masters here, then hasten on the day. Huzzah, 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 huzzah for free America. Lift up your hands, ye heroes, and swear with proud disdain. The wretch that would ensnare you shall lay his snares in vain. Should Europe empty all her force, we'll meet her in array, and fight and shout and fight and shout for free America. God bless this maiden climate, and through her vast domain, may hosts of heroes cluster who scorn to wear a chain. Then guard your rights, Americans, nor stoop to lawless sway. Oppose, 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 oppose for North America. Some future day shall crown us the masters of the main. Our fleet shall seek in thunder to England, France, and Spain. And nations o'er the ocean spread shall tremble and obey. The sons, the sons, the sons, the sons of free America.
Wow. It's so much fun to be back in this seat. It's so much fun to be able to talk about the country that I love in the way that I like to talk about it. It's so much fun to see all of you beautiful patriots who have decided that courage is the way, who've decided that Reliance is the way, who've decided that sustainability means something much different than what the left says that it should mean. Sustainability means that we leave our country to our children. We don't leave our country to children from foreign lands. We leave it to our children, the ones that worked here, that bled here, that left these shores and died on another beach or another land or somewhere else one day long ago. We have reverence for them. They are not forgotten. They are not just bumps in the road. They paved the road. The road to freedom is paved with them. And they stood up in a time where others didn't. And every single one of them that sacrificed themselves in the hopes. They died hoping that America continued after they were gone. They volunteered because they were wanting to make sure of that. A lot of their children grew up without fathers. A lot of it happened unnecessarily during the Gulf War and a number of other things, Vietnam, that were not, World War I, that were not, that World War II, that were not what you were told they were. I'd like to thank every single one of you. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here tonight on the Q Lounge Live. Feel free to post in the comments below and let us know what it is that you think about the show. Don't hesitate at all to send me an email or a message on direct message on Twitter or right here to say what it is that you think about what we're doing here. Please help sponsor the show. Help teach somebody else, help bring somebody to the conversation. We are here to spread the notion that there is a clear line between the truth and the lie. The lie is that they are the global elite. The truth is that you are. You're the only ones that stand up for freedom. You're the only ones that stand up for truth. You're the only ones that stand up and say, God bless America, and no place else. Anybody that tells you that there's something wrong with you because you love your country is actually telling you that there's something wrong with them and that they don't know how to fix it. So they're jealous of you and your patriotism. Thank you all so much. And we are going to be back here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, the Q Lounge Live. I love you, each and every one of you. Big thanks to Yeti, our producer, and big thanks to all of you. See you soon.
When I pull up out front, you see the Benz on bill. When I roll 20 deep, so it's